How many times are you on the? Are we on the phone to each other in a typical week?
Well, we actually work together, so in a week or a day? I'd say 5 times a day.
Probably one of those is training sessions and players. The rest are probably dribble, to be honest with you.
Who gets the grumpiest after a loss?
I'd say Shaun. I'd say you.
Reckon?
Yeah. I'd say Shaun. Yeah.
Is it different non-playing to playing, or after
because I guess when you're playing, you can sort of do something out there. When you're non-playing, it's sort of, when you get beat, you feel like you've been beat as a coach, which that's really hard. I find it harder to take.
Yeah.
Normally when you're out there, you feel like you're doing everything you can, and you're like, well, I've done everything I can, but you always think as a coach, well, what else could I have done? And that's probably the tough part, especially being first year non-playing coach, I guess. So definitely hard, I reckon.
Mate, what is the hardest conversation you have to have with a player?
Dropping them for a grand final. Unfortunately.
Oh dear.
Fortunately we've made grand finals, but I've had to do that a few times. So.
How do you approach that? There's no easy way to break the bad news, is there?
Not really. I learnt early days, I told someone on the Thursday night that they'll drop for a grand final. They didn't take it real well, but after that I learnt that the sooner that you realise your team and the sooner that you can tell them to give it time to settle, the better. But you've just got to be honest with them. You can't stuff around and tell them lies, because players are smart, so just got to be real honest, I think. Is this a good cop, bad cop relationship?
It's interesting, like the boys at times call me Mum and Shaun Dad, so they often mix and match. So if they tell Shaun some bad news, next time it'll come to me, and they don't think we actually communicate, I think. So it's like, it's a secret, we keep secrets from each other, but we actually communicate to each other. So they'll mix and match a little bit, depending who they told last time on the good news and bad news.
Say we're at training and Miles is not happy and brings a group in, gives them a little bit of a serve. Well, 10 minutes later, I'm not going to go and do the same, am I? I'm probably going to try and pump them up and say, righto, got a serve, let's see what we can do from here. So you do have to bounce and read what the other's doing, I think. So yeah, definitely.
What was it like walking back in the rooms after the grand final?
Well, it was pretty heartbreaking. I didn't know what to do. I sort of sat in the coach's office with the coaches, and I was there for about 2 minutes. We were going to have a chat about the game, and I couldn't, because all I wanted to do was just get around the players straight away. So I'd done that on the ground, but once we walked in, we're lucky the twos were there and they won the grand final. They probably build us back up after a little bit. But my initial thing was, it sounds bad, but walk away from everyone else, and I just spend as much time with the players as I could, because I knew how I was feeling. I knew they'd be feeling pretty bad too. So
you were the one that spoke. You could have had a pin drop in the rooms. Everyone in there is devastated. How do you find the words in those moments?
Oh, I don't know. You sort of speak from the heart a little bit. As hard as it was to say, but to talk, it was just, you got to tell them how proud you are, because you think about the game, but it happened so quick. But everything, you can't just think about that 4 quarters. You got to think about the whole journey that we had, and it was a great journey. And that whole 4 weeks in the finals, had some ups and downs, but it had more ups and downs. And then to lose it, obviously didn't finish the way, but would like. But I think certainly be proud of that, and actually think about how enjoyable it was to get there. Apart from probably the last 30 seconds of the game, everything else was so enjoyable.
Shaun probably touched on it before. As a coach, but as a player as well as a coach, like there was a sense of, what could have I done differently as a player? And I think that's initially the reaction of a lot of people. But the overwhelming sense of the rooms was just how proud we were of the group. I know footy, as we always say, it's a results-based industry. You'll only really remember the premiere from last year, but in terms of our process to get there and our process on the day, felt we delivered on it, and unfortunately we just didn't get the result.
What have you learnt from working with the bloke next to you? Probably not much.
Plenty. I think I think Shaun Gray, he has a really good balance, and particularly I reckon has taught me, as a player, to invest in the playing when I was playing, and then the coaching on the side of that. So, he's given me the freedom to be able to go and play, but probably just the overriding sense of the whole piece of coaching. So there's the relationship sides, and he places a massive relationship importance on relationships with the players, and when he gives a bake, because he's got that relationship and that respect of the players, it's something I'll probably strive to get towards, the respect that he's earned over a long career, particularly at Albury. So probably will go down as one of the greatest to play. I know he'll never admit it, out of the Albury Footy Club. So have that respect, and then to be able to pass that on to players, and he has a really good balance between the tough stick and the cuddle, I think.
Look, unfortunately I didn't get to play as many games with Stimp as I would have liked, because we're both from Howlong and we always thought we'd play a few more games. But look, in terms of as a person and a coach, I think he's brought that connection piece to our footy club. Obviously, it's well documented what Richmond done, and he's sort of brought a bit of that, taste of that to our footy club, and it's made our group closer. I always thought our group was really close, but it's actually made us a lot closer, getting to know people on more of a personal level. Now, I've always tried to do that, but really digging down and seeing what makes that person, and that's really hard to be vulnerable like that, and I probably haven't been great at that in the past, but that's a big thing as a person and as a coach, because he's just that genuine care he has for players, not just footy but everything. And we've got the same saying that with footy, that's just the end result. If you've got everything going on outside of life, work, family, girlfriend, whatever, if you can sort that out, the footy will take care of itself. And I think he's really brought that to this club. And certainly as a player, he was a bit younger than me growing up, and I knew he was a gun, but and everyone did, and I'm not blowing smoke, but his physicality and how hard he is. He's played through some really tough injuries, and been belted to pillar to post, and that probably didn't surprise me, but a few games I've sort of gone back and gone, holy shit, this kid's tough. So I knew he was tough, but seeing him firsthand was a bit sort of make me stand back and go, holy shit, some blokes need to follow your lead, mate.
Thanks, mate. Good one to finish.